Now, before we get started with this video, I have two very big announcements to make. The first one being that we are launching We Make Devs scholarships. I'll keep it short. If you want to attend global events like conferences in America, in Europe, these can be quite expensive, but also very rewarding. You get a lot of job opportunities, you build your skills, you network, you expand your horizons. But let's be honest, very expensive, right? So via We Make Dev scholarships, we are going to cover your flights. We will cover your hotels for free, flights for free, hotels for free, visa as well, transport as well, conference ticket as well, everything you need. And this is something, we wanted to do for a while. We did it for KubeCon Detroit and now we are starting it again. So this application is now open for KubeCon Amsterdam. So if you want to attend KubeCon Amsterdam for free, make sure you apply. It's reviewed on rolling basis. So first come, first serve basis, we review it. So make sure you apply, and all the information can be found on the website that you see on the screen, and the links will be in the description below. So you can apply using this link. You can share it on your socials. You can check out the previous winners, FAQs, and you can also join our newsletter if you want to stay up to date about such initiatives and never miss an opportunity. There's also the Discord server you can join and the Telegram channel that you can join. So yes, anyone can apply. It doesn't matter if you're a student, you're a beginner, you are just getting started, or you're an experienced professional, you're an open source maintainer. It does not matter. Make sure you apply early, and we are looking forward to seeing your applications and sending a lot more people to global conferences ASAP. Announcement number 2 is quite exciting. We are doing our biggest hackathon yet, and the early registrations are now open. So we are doing a hackathon in collaboration with Cerebras, Meta, previously known as Facebook, and Docker, some of the biggest companies in the AI space right now. And the cash prizes we're going to reveal very soon. It's going to be in the thousands. It's going to be our biggest cash prize yet. But more importantly, the winners will be getting an interview opportunity at Cerebras. You'll be getting a coffee chat with Meta engineers, and there are some really exciting prizes that are yet to be announced. This is our biggest hackathon yet. I highly recommend forming your team and starting the early registration today, because we get thousands of people apply. So make sure you get in your spot ASAP. Now, if you don't know what Cerebras is, make sure you watch this video. We're going to cover it in detail. And you can sign up using the link in the description below, because you will get 1.2 million daily tokens free and no credit card required. This is like really high quality AI models for your development needs that you will be getting for free. Now you'll be like, Kunal, I don't know what this is. I don't know what inferencing is. I don't know how to implement AI in my projects. I don't know what Cerebras is. That is what this course is, this whole video is about. Okay. So sign up using the link in the description below to Cerebras. Make sure you fill out this hackathon early registration form, the scholarship form if you're interested in going to Amsterdam for KubeCon. Wow, a lot of things happening. I'm so excited. And if you want to learn more about Cerebras, AI, inferencing, GenAI in general, how to get started, watch this video tutorial. It's completely hands-on, so you will follow along. And without further ado, let's get started. By 2026, over 80% of the companies will be using generative AI, according to Gartner. And in this video, we're going to talk about generative AI for everyone and how to get started easily and, more importantly, for free. Starting from the very basics of various terms that people throw around, by the end of this demo, you'll be setting up a demo of the world's fastest free AI coding assistant in literally a few minutes that can write 4,000 lines of JavaScript in just 4 seconds. And you don't need a credit card to set this up. Now you're going to be like, Kunal, AI platforms are very expensive. We already know about OpenAI, Gemini, ChatGPT and whatnot, but we have to pay for it. But what if I told you that you can get your hands on the world's fastest AI inference platform for free? It's called Cerebras, and it is the future of AI. Literally, it's rivaling giants like NVIDIA. And you can sign up using the link in the description below to get 2 million tokens of the latest Qwen 3 Coder 480B model for free. I know I've thrown a lot of terms at you. Tokens. Kunal, what is inferencing? Kunal, what is Qwen 3? Kunal, what is Cerebras? You said it was a GenAI beginner course, and now you're throwing buzzwords at us. So without further ado, let's get started. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a lot of hands-on and intuitive stuff, which I'm really excited to showcase. So yeah, check out the links in the description to sign up in just a minute, and let's get started. Because this tutorial is called Generative AI for Everyone, I assume that a lot of people who are watching this are new to AI. So I'm going to take a few minutes to explain to you the basic terminologies of this ecosystem. What is artificial intelligence? Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with the official definition. You can find that online if you're curious, but everyone knows what AI is. It's like a machine or a program, if you want to call it, that mimics human behavior. A good example is like Jarvis from Iron Man, Robocop, and Terminator, your Siri, Google Assistant, ChatGPT, whatever. It's trying to mimic the human behavior. Okay, that's fine, easy. Now, what is machine learning? Machine learning, as the name suggests itself, is the process via which the AI becomes smart. But what does that mean? AI is getting smart via machine learning. As the name suggests, your machine is learning. How do me and you get smart? We read, we watch tutorials like this, we read books, we read tutorials, we read documentation, we gather all the data and we learn, and that's how we become smart. That is exactly how AI becomes smart as well. We have to give it data, it studies that data, and it becomes smart. Let's take a look at this into a little bit more detail, but in very simple terms. Let's take a look at this real world example. We have the price of the house in my neighborhood and square foot. So let's say the price of the house depends on how large the house is. Obviously, there are other factors that determine the price of the house in your neighborhood as well. How many rooms it has, what is the floor, how close it is to the railway station, how close it is to the park, the basic amenities, and other things. For the sake of the example, we will keep it simple. Let's just say the price depends only on how large the house is, meaning how much is the square foot area. Let's say for a 400 square foot house, this is, let's say, the real world example. So you can see that for 400 square foot house, one of the houses in the neighborhood that was 400 square foot sold for 750,000 pounds. The other one that was 400 square foot sold for 800,000 pounds. That is quite a real world data. Similarly, an apartment 800 square foot is going to cost, let's say, 1.4 million pounds or 1.5 million pounds. Now, what happens is, if I want to create an artificial intelligence program where I just give it the square foot in the area and I want it to tell me how much should I be paying, I will give my machine learning algorithm this raw data that it has not seen before, and it will come up with a generalized answer. So something like this, a generalized answer like this. This is what? This is just a line. Y is equal to mx plus c, equation of a line, very simple. You don't have to go into too much detail. It's more about intuition. So as you can see, I have a generalized answer now. And whenever a new data point comes, let's say a new data point is coming and I'm asking it how much for a 700 or 600 square foot house, it's gonna put it on this line and give me the answer. So a generalized answer. Okay, obviously it's not going to be the same as the actual price of the houses that have been sold for 600 or 700,000 pounds. It's going to be somewhat different. So there's going to be somewhat of an error. That's basically how accurate your machine learning model is. People say my model is 98% accurate, 99% accurate. That's what it means. I won't bore you with the details, but this is what it looks like. You give it some sort of training data in order to make your AI smart. This is what machine learning does. You give it some training data, it will pass it through an algorithm, and it will create a machine learning model. This can be like a mathematical equation. And you pass the new data into this equation, it will give you the answer, very simple. What sort of algorithm to use depends on what type of data you have. You can use logistic regression, linear regression, SVM, naive Bayes, or whatever. Now, that's a different topic. That's like very core of machine learning. We're not worried about that. My basic goal was to make you understand what AI is and what ML is. So when we talk about machine learning, it's a subset of AI. So this is machine learning. Okay, this is ML. It's a part of AI. When you replace this algorithm with an artificial neural network, which is like scientists, our brains have neurons. They're like, hey, we can mimic this neuron behavior in our brains in code. We can mimic it, sort of like in mathematics. So they created how our brains work, right? They created a fake sort of like scenario. That is known as deep learning. So you can think of deep learning as a part of machine learning. Okay, so this is the whole landscape. Now, what is generative AI? Well, generative AI is AI that can create things for you. It can be like text, it can be like images or code based on what you ask it to do. So, for example, ChatGPT writing an essay for you, DALL-E making art for you from a description, AI coding platforms, turning a few instructions into working code. So it's spreading across almost every industry. Healthcare, finance, entertainment, customer service, marketing, you name it. Even Google said that around 25 or 20 to 25% of its code is being written by AI. And people are also creating AI avatars for social media content. So there are a lot of use cases in the industry that are happening right now. That's in simple terms what generative AI is. Now that you know about AI, what training means, what Gen AI means, let's take a look at some of the other terms that you will come across. Starting with large language models, then we'll learn about tokens. You may have also heard about AI inferencing. So what does inferencing mean? We'll take a look at that now. Okay, next I want to talk to you about large language models or LLMs. In the previous simple example, we saw a model that predicts the house pricing. Well, large language model, imagine you're giving someone billions of books and websites and articles to read. After reading all of that, they start noticing some patterns in how the words are formed and how ideas are connected together. For example, if you say peanut butter and, you know that the next word is going to be probably jelly because you have seen this pattern so many times. In Hindi, you say aloo ka, the next word will be parantha or parantha, whatever you want to call it. So aloo ka, parantha. This is exactly what an LLM does. It doesn't just think like humans, but instead it predicts the next word after that, the next word after that, based on everything it has learned from huge amount of text. Now, the word large in large language model or LLM comes from the size of these models. The last example we saw had just one parameter, size of the house, the square foot of the house, based on which I will get my answer. LLMs have billions or even trillions of parameters, which are like tiny adjustable dials the model uses to make better predictions. The bigger the model, the more patterns it can capture and the smarter it feels. For example, when you ask ChatGPT to write code, it can recall the pattern of how code has been usually written. And when you ask it to summarize a book, it will predict a good condensed version based on what it already knows about summaries. If you want more information about how LLMs work internally, how they store facts and data, I recommend checking out the channel 3 Blue 1 Brown. This is not sponsored by them, by the way. I just really like that channel. Highly recommend checking it out. Okay, let's learn about another term called tokens. What is a token? A token is a small piece of text that AI models read or generate. So instead of working with the whole sentence or even whole words, models break down text into tokens. A token can be as short as a single letter or as long as a whole word, depending on the language and how the model is trained. So for example, the word developer might be split into two tokens, devel and opper, while short words like cat or dog would usually be just one token. And when you interact with a large language model, everything that you're typing is turned into tokens, and the model generates its answers one token at a time, predicting what should come next. So when you write in ChatGPT, you see ChatGPT gives you answer like, it's like typing really fast. You see it like this, that's what happens. So when you see terms like, why this is important is because you will come across terms like 2000 tokens per second. Someone will be like, we are this much faster. We are doing 2000 tokens per second. What does it mean? What does it mean when we say models can work with, the speed of 2000 tokens per second? It means that the model, machine learning GenAI model, can process or generate about 2000 of these text chunks every second. So in simple terms, these tokens are just building blocks of how AI understands and produces the language. So now that you know what LLMs are, what tokens are, what generative AI is, the next question is simple. How do you actually use generative AI? The answer is AI inferencing. Very simple terms, what it means is how you're making AI useful. So for example, you have a ChatGPT like platform and you're writing in some text. Hey, give me a summary of this paragraph. And it's giving you an answer. That's AI inferencing. So you're actually calling the model and getting some answer. How do you do it? Let's say there are machine learning models, these big AI models. Now, in order to host these models, it's not easy. You're like, Kunal, if I want to use generative AI, I don't want to deploy my own infrastructure. I want someone else to do it, and I just want to, let's say, call the API. So I will give a request to the server, and the server will give me answer. So that's way number one. There are companies like Cerebras, like OpenAI, Google Gemini. So they are like, we will host these models for you on our own hardware, and you just send us a request and we will give you the answer. Usually the payment plan works like you can do monthly subscription. We learned about tokens, so you can pay per 1,000 tokens or things like that. So that's like the easiest way to get started. Cerebras is like the fastest way to get started, and also for free. You get 1 million tokens, and if you use the link in the description below, you will get 200,000 tokens more. So make sure you check it out. So that's way number one. I'll tell you a bit more about Cerebras shortly, but the second option is to self-host. It means that you can download an open source model like Llama, Mistral, Quen, or whatever, and you can run it on your own machine or your own cloud infrastructure. So this is going to give you more control, more privacy, and sometimes lower costs at scale, but it also requires more technical setup and more hardware. Now let's talk a bit more about how these LLMs become so smart. I told you before, imagine you're giving billions of websites to the large language model, and now you need to train that model using that data, which is like billions and billions of websites, so much data. So when you're training a model on so much data, you need hardware. This is why GPUs have become quite popular now. Kunal, what is a GPU? It's known as a graphics processing unit. They were originally built for video games, rendering 3D graphics really, really fast. But then they realized that the same thing that makes them so good at graphics also makes them really, really good for AI training or training these big models. So why does that make sense? Why do people use GPUs for AI training? Because GPUs can do thousands of calculations at the same time. And when you're training a large AI model like LLMs, it requires you to multiply massive amounts of numbers again and again and again and again and again. CPUs do this really slowly. GPUs are optimized exactly for this. And this is why companies like Nvidia are now powering, most of the world's AI companies or whatnot. But there's a catch. GPUs weren't originally designed just for AI. So even though they are very powerful, they can hit limits with things like memory bandwidth and efficiency when you're training very large models. Because generative AI models create text one token at a time. It's kind of like writing. You write the one word, you can't write the next word until the last one is done, right? So the biggest slowdown is moving data in and out of memory for every single step. GPUs often have to shuffle data between multiple cards or across slower memory, which is eating up a lot of time. Now this is where Cerebras comes in. Instead of using a lot of GPUs wired or attached together, what they did was they built something radically different. They built the world's largest computer chip, it's like the size of a dinner plate, that's designed from scratch for artificial intelligence. Because everything is on this one giant chip, it's going to avoid many of the bottlenecks that GPUs face. And that means much faster training and inference speeds. Because it fixes the main thing that makes big AI models slow and expensive: memory bottlenecks. Their wafer scale engine WSE3 has nearly 1 million cores and 44 gigabytes of on-chip memory. The result, 20 petabytes per second of bandwidth, which is over 7,000 times faster than Nvidia's H100 GPU. That means you're not waiting around for data to move. It's just pure speed, and we will see it in action in this demo. And the performance is wild as well. Cerebras ran a 120 billion parameter model at 3,000 tokens per second, which is way faster than typical GPU setups. Alibaba's Quen 3 Coder 480B Instruct model is also now available on Cerebras, which we will be demoing in this tutorial, and it's the world's most popular open coding model, and it's 2,000 tokens per second. So that turns multi-second delays into near instant answers. And here's the best part, you don't need to buy this monster chip by Cerebras. They offer a cloud platform which can run open source models on their hardware, and no credit card is needed. So you can get started for free. Getting started is literally going to take you 5 seconds. Click on the link in the description below so you can get free 200,000 tokens. Then click on Get API Key and you can sign up using your email, or you can do single sign-on using Google or GitHub. I'm going to click on Google, and then I'm going to select my Google account, and I will be in the Cerebras dashboard. So here in the dashboard, you can see the various models that are available to you. If you need access to Qwen 3 480B coder, which is like a top tier coder for coding, Copilot, so you can get that for free if you use the link in my description to sign up. Here on your dashboard, you can check out your API keys. So let's say you have a website in which you want to integrate AI functionality. So you can just use this API key and you can make direct calls to Cerebras, your platform over here, and it's going to give you an answer. So you can create chatbots, you can do a bunch of stuff. I'll show you a little bit how to use this API. You'll see your limits over here as well, the kind of models that are available to you and the limits. And you can also check out settings. There's various documentations and a bunch of other stuff. They also have a live playground which you can use. So you can essentially try their models on their website. So you can say implement a doubly linked list. That took like half a second, literally. So you can see how fast that was. This is the open source model by OpenAI, but you can change it and use Llama and use whatever you like. So it's quite fast. They also have a voice mode. That's essentially about it, but let's take a look at some more fun stuff that you can do with it. Also, why I recommend signing up is because on their free tier, you get around 1 million tokens every day for free. That is about 750,000 words. So unless you're writing novels every day, you're going to be okay. And even if you go over the limit, the paid rates are quite cheap and affordable. It's also super developer friendly. So their API is compatible with OpenAI's format. So you can switch your app from OpenAI to Cerebras in just a few seconds. And since the models are open and permissively licensed, you can fine tune them as well, export them or run them anywhere else later. So there's no lock-in that you need to worry about either. All right, let's get started with the demo. This should get you hyped up. We're going to hook up Klein, which is an open source AI coding assistant, to Cerebras, giving you a coding copilot that is lightning fast and fully under your control. So this combination even beats things like GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT in speed while running on open models. This setup right here is going to write 1000 lines of JavaScript in 4 seconds compared to 30 seconds on Gemini 2.5 Flash or 80 seconds on Claude 4 Sonnet. Getting started is quite simple. Just click on Install Klein. You can find the links in the description below. Click on VS Code Install. Do you want to open Visual Studio Code? Allow. It's going to just search for the extension Klein and you can install it. So here it's installed. You can find it over here. Here in the settings, select Cerebras. In the API provider, just select Cerebras. And in the API key, copy your Cerebras API key. Copy this and paste it over here. Now here you can select the models. The advanced one is Qwen 3 Coder 480B. This you can get for free if you use the link that I had in the description to sign up to Cerebras, and just click on done, and there we go. That's essentially it. Also, Klein is agentic. It can read and navigate your project. It can make a plan and execute changes in various steps, and you see every move that it makes. So it's going to be like, I am reading these files, I am planning this approach, I am writing this function. It runs on 2 modes, the plan mode, where it drafts a step-by-step plan that you approve, and the act mode, which is basically where it just goes ahead and does the changes under your supervision. So you can select what you want it to do automatically, like the actions. So it's going to read the projects, edit the files, execute the commands, use the browser, use MCP servers, and how many requests do you want it to do on its own. Let's say I wanted to do 20 requests on its own. So it's going to do 20 requests on its own, and then it's going to ask you, hey, should I continue? So here I have my VMake Devs whole website, which is available over here, and I can basically ask it anything. Scan through the repository and find security vulnerabilities and also modernize the code. Here you can see how many tokens, the completion tokens and the prompt tokens, and it's going to tell you what it's doing. So it wants to read this file, it's making this API request, it wants to read this file, it wants to read this file, and now it's going to examine some of the key components, understand the code structure. It's going to examine the navbar component, newsletter component, newsletter API. I've identified some critical security vulnerabilities in the newsletter API, and it's going to check my whole project, and as you can see, suggest me answers basically about the question that I asked it. And here you can see like the plan. So step 1 done, step 2 done, step 3 done. Now it's going to implement the code modernization, and then it's going to verify the changes. Pretty cool stuff. And you can see it's pretty fast. After 20 API requests are done, I can say yes, you can proceed. Do 20 more, 20 more. You can also increase this limit if you don't want it to stop after 20 API requests. So let's actually ask this setup to create a clone of this online game. This is a very popular game called agar.io. Basically, you have these food items that you eat and you become bigger. It's a web-based application, and if something bigger comes, it will eat you, and it will be game over. So as you can see, if they eat me, I will be game over. So in an empty project, I can give it a prompt like, hey, create a JavaScript based application for agar.io. These are all the repositories you should have. These are all the structures you should have. So as you can see, it's going to set up the project structure. You can see the whole task progresses. So it's setting up the project structure and dependencies. It's going to create a backend server using socket.io because I told it to. It's going to implement the game logic, create React frontend component with Tailwind CSS. It's going to implement the game canvas, rendering, game UI components. It's going to do everything. It's going to even test the multiplayer functionality, and then implement bot players, and then verify whether it's ready to run or not. It creates this whole game. I tested it earlier in like 4 minutes, and as you can see, it's writing the whole code, and it's not asking me for approval because I've given it full permission. But obviously I get to check everything and every single step that it's doing. I'm not touching it, and it's like building this entire application from scratch. That is pretty cool. After the task is completed, as you can see, it created a bunch of files for me. It also created a README file, and I just ran npm start, and here is my application that AI created. So I can give it a name, Kunal, and then I can move it around, and you can see my ball will go bigger. I can have a second player. Let's call it Rahul. Start game. And let's say if Rahul collides with Kunal, Rahul is gone. Cool stuff. And it has a score as well. I also asked it to create a whole clone of Twitter. So it says, write all the code for a fully working clone of Twitter. I'm not going to ask it to stop after every 20 API calls. I need like, I need retweet, I need a backend, I need a database, I need APIs for tweets, and infinity scroll on the feed, dark mode as well, and I need a bunch of stuff. I need a whole working clone of Twitter. And as you can see, it's starting with the project structure. It's going to implement the backend with Express, MongoDB, Socket.io, create database models, implement user authentication as well, and hashtag support and whatnot. So that took like 4 minutes to create, and as you can see, the tasks are now completed. I can run npm install and then npm install in my client directory, and that should have me giving my Twitter clone. Let's check it out. So here I start the backend server. It even created README file for me. This is so cool. npm run dev. It's fine. cd client, npm start. Here I can give it a name, Kunal Kushwaha, kunal@ceo.com. So that's working. I can try another contact.com. Already exists. Oh, username Kushwaha, sign up, there we go. So as you can see, explore tab, notifications, messages, you can search, you can take a look at your profile, light mode, dark mode. Can I tweet? What's up? Michael Scott. Copy image address. Tweet. Like, retweet, comment, share. But yeah, that's like the version 1, where you can obviously ask it to make it better. You can give more detailed prompts and ask it to change things little by little. But still, yeah, with just one prompt, pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. It's working like a real database using MongoDB. So yeah, very impressive. I can ask it to do some other stuff as well. Let's say this is my vmake devs repository. It uses TypeScript, and I can ask it to, let's say I can say your task is to refactor the code to make it more cleaner, consistent formatting, naming conventions, more modular, type safe, easier to read and maintain, efficient, do not change the external behavior of the code, keep the API same, show me the full refactored code file by file. At the end, give me a short summary of what improvements have you made. Let's try the plan version, and I don't want it to stop after 20 iterations, so I'm going to put this as 100. Click on next. So as you can see, it's going to work on my input, and it's agentic, so it's going to take a look at my project, understand it, how the files are structured, how the code is structured, so better understanding the code structure, and then it's going to give me a plan that I can execute. So as you can see, it finished planning that, and it says I have a good understanding of the code base. So it's agentic, so it went through the whole code base and found that it's a Next.js project and uses Tailwind. Components are generally well structured, could be better. So it created this plan that it's going to improve type safety, enhance component modularity, optimize utility functions, improve hooks, organize the data structures, code formatting, consistency, and whatnot. So it says, would you like me to proceed with this plan? If so, please toggle to act mode so I can begin implementing the improvements. So now that I'm happy with this, I can actually ask it to change some other stuff, but I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go to act mode, and it's going to start working on that. As you can see, it's quite fast, and it's changing a lot of my files based on the stuff I did before. So you can see, so before and after. So we're going to let that finish. So here you can see in just a few minutes, it has completed the task. So it's going to give you a little information like I've refactored several components in the code base, improved type safety and whatnot. It also shows you what files it refactored, and these changes make the code base a bit more cleaner, more maintainable. You can see the new changes as well. As you can see, here you go, the files that were previous and what the change has been. That is quite cool. That is absolutely incredible. So why does this combination matter? Well, if you're using slower models, client can feel a little bit laggy when reading a lot of files or generating code. But if you're using Cerebras, code generation can be 10 to 20 times faster than typical setups. And with tasks that used to take like a minute, now finish just under a second, as we just saw. It's also not just about speed, it's also cheaper. So with Cerebras claiming 20 times the speed at, hear me out, 1/10 the cost of closed models in code generation scenarios, which is quite impressive. So if a better open model drops tomorrow, you can swap it in. And if you want to self-host later, you can do that as well. So there's no vendor lock-in, no data harvesting, unlike Copilot and other closed source tools. So we have basically removed the ceiling that held back small developers or students from creating truly powerful AI applications. You can literally build, like, I don't know, chatbots, you can build document analyzers, you can integrate AI in your own website. Sky is the limit. And this tech stack is a smart choice because it gives you the best of all the worlds. So you get the performance, you get the cost efficiency, you can literally get started for free, and you also get the freedom. So you're not sacrificing anything. You're riding the wave of open innovation rather than being tied to a single vendor's roadmap. And as AI continues to evolve, having the flexibility, that flexible foundation, it means that you can adapt and adopt new advancements with minimal friction. I would say we are basically seeing the democratization of AI computing here. It sort of like reminds me of when cloud computing became a thing. And I learned about it because when it became a thing, I was like a baby. But suddenly startups, you don't need to buy their own servers. You can just rent it out. And now with platforms like Cerebras and open source AI, you don't actually need to build a giant AI cluster or sign an expensive contract to do cutting edge stuff. Anyone can do it, and that's a smart place to be. There was a recent board memo from Google that was leaked as well. I believe it was Sundar Pichai who was saying that people are not going to pay for these proprietary models when the free open source models are sort of like giving them the same result. But yeah, interesting times. I would recommend sign up to the platform Cerebras using the link in the description below, and you get 200,000 tokens as well. Build something that you like, and let me know what you build by leaving a comment or sharing it on socials and tagging me. And yeah, have fun.